do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Calling all the fighters, calling on survivors. Are you up all nighters? We can take it higher. Let's do this. Do this. Can you feel the fire running through your veins? Now you're burning brighter. Don't look away. Shout out to the legends rising from the wreckage. Count down the seconds. It's out your engines. Let's do this. I know we've got a long way to go. I know we've got a long road home. I know we've got a long way to go. Let's do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Let's do this. Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Let's do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the penultimate race of the North-South Racing League Season 6, coming to you from Iowa for the Iowa Corn 125. For Ghost Fire Media, I'm Josh Laston, and with me tonight, as always, is Mr. Adam Wood. Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm ready for a wonderful race here. It's going to seem like... Oh, sorry, we got bots in the chat. I'll block them right quick. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Holy crap, man. They are fast.
They are on it. Well,
But,
they're excited for the same race we are.
Yeah. I can't say what I want to say about it, but you know, the stocks, street stocks here are going to feel like a mini super speedway here. The corners are well banked. It's going to be a little bit loose for these guys on the first couple laps until the tires kind of warm up. But these guys are going to have some fun here, going super fast compared to all these short track races they've been at in the last couple weeks.
And that's the one thing that we really have to look forward to tonight. These guys, they're going to be dealing with way more draft than they have for quite some time. It's not quite a super speedway. It's not kind of like Charlotte is, to where that 1.5 miles makes it to where these things can be wide open all the time. But like you said, the first couple of laps before the tires get warm, you can see that back end slide around. And we saw some early practice. These guys were doing some practice starts, and the pack stayed together quite well. And a lot of that is because at nearly 1 mile and a lot of banking, that draft is going to be the key to a win tonight.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like a true super speedway. I think it's going to be more like a Michigan for these guys, like the Cup Series. You can run multiple grooves at Michigan. You're going to be able to run high speeds, but you're going to have to let off here and there, especially when the tires wear out. So that's what I think. That's a little bit better comparison. It's maybe a Michigan and a little bit upper series there. It'd be a good comparison with the street stocks here.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a reasonable amount of 3-wide action tonight, because you can get a massive run as you come down the straightaway, even carry some of that speed through the corners, and then just suddenly cut across traffic to drop below everyone and make some really daring passes. It's going to make for some great watching tonight. And to make matters more entertaining, nobody's mathematically eliminated in the top 5 right now. Dante Curtis is still our leader, but Bryan Hacker is only 17 back. Mike Alexander only 19 back. Ryan Johnson a little farther back at 31, but one bad night from the guys in the front, and he's right there. Will Eastman, 67. It's kind of the same story, but with only 17 drivers here tonight, kind of makes it a little bit harder to come back from 5th.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill climb for Will Eastman, but I mean, never say never. We've seen people miss a couple races here and there, and the points kind of shaken up a little bit here. Dante had a comfortable lead going in last week, did not show up, make the little race, and the gap shrunk. We're back down to a 17-point gap.
And that's what I like to see at this point, because in all honesty, the deeper into the season we can go before we crown a winner, the more entertaining that last race is going to be. And as we're sitting here watching the last minute of practice, we've got 3 people just in lockstep. Will Eastman in the background there trying to join the party. And this is what we're going to see a lot of tonight, just dicing up, people dropping down a lane to be able to get a pass done. But as the tires wear out, and we're definitely going to have one stop from my testing, squeezing possibly a 2-stopper is going to be needed. But 125 laps, I don't think there's going to be too many dull moments.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to put on a good show here, and I think the draft is going to keep everybody kind of right there engaged, kind of help people pull up on them. But when the tires wear out, where will the passes come? Will people move up to the middle groove section to keep that momentum up? Because like we've talked about these cars, it's all about momentum with them. They're not that high of horsepower, so they need to keep up all the momentum that they can. And I think running maybe a little bit higher middle groove might be helpful later in the runs.
If you don't start up there like I tend to do in Iowa, because at the end of the day, see some of the cleanest racing at this track. And you know what? For me, it's all about that tire wear and making it to where I'm fast, not only at the beginning, but mostly at the end. But
as we watch Dante Curtis come out here and start to run that high line coming across the start-finish line. Or actually, no. Yep, there it is. There it is, the start-finish line. Thought so. I tries to get the most speed as he can by running the high side, kind of like you would at a lot larger super speedway track. And he hooks the bottom of the center. Doesn't really run that yellow line. I'm not sure where's the fastest line, but I think he's going to try and make that second lap his qualifying lap, it looks like.
Or he's going to stop before he crosses the line because, yeah, may as well reset on that one. Got a little bit loose as right now the 27 of Adam Baltimore is currently on provisional pole with a 26.70 with Jared Moggard right behind him, and both of those guys were fast in practice. And honestly, from what we saw during that time frame, Dante Curtis may be on the verge of dropping a few points tonight because he was not up there amongst the fastest, but we also know better than to count him, Mike Alexander, Ryan Johnson, Gary Eschen. May not be the fastest during practice, but you can never count them out because their racecraft is just immaculate.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Will Eastman right now has a 26.55 and holding the pole. And Dante Curtis comes in with a 26.63 here. Good enough for his 5th spot.
And we see Mike Alexander calling the tail end there, so we're going to jump over to Bryan Hacker. who is on his first of his flyers, coming out of turn 2. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few people tag walls, especially on corner exit, as Bryan Hacker is running a little bit high right now. Not sure if he missed his corner entry or not, but let's see. Yeah, that was only fast enough for 12th. He may be trying to make this second lap his flyer.
Yeah, I believe the second lap will be the flyer lap. I think that, me running a few test laps, I think you really don't hit the full stride until the second lap. Because like you said, this car's all about momentum. You really don't have the speed on the first lap to really set down a fast lap.
As we see him trying to cut as much off of the track as possible. And that was the right move, because that got him up into second.
And if he's lucky about our wonderful spins that we have, he could be starting on the pole with a two invert.
I'm hoping that's not the case tonight. But honestly, if there's a track that a small invert is not going to hurt anyone, this is really going to be it. Because, again, the draft is going to be huge. But also being able to control the car while you're in that draft, that is also going to be just absolutely important.
All right.
Now we've just got to wait some time.
We got less than a minute left here underneath that, so I don't think anybody else is going to run. So I'll go ahead and run down the qualifying results here. We got Will Eastman in first with a 26.552. Bryan Hacker is going to be in second. Third would be Mike Alexander. Fourth is going to be Jonathan Cross. Fifth is Ryan Johnson. Sixth is Jared Mogard. Seventh is Dante Curtis. Eighth is Adam Boltemir. Ninth is Dustin Shepard. 10th is Kyle Walgreen. Was that? Yeah.
11th.
Yeah, 11th. There we go. Sorry, I was looking on iRacing and not the SDK where I should be. 11th is Adam Gebel. 12th is Matt Cook. 13th is Travis Hoefler. 14th is going to be Robbie Clavey. 15th is going to be Gary Eschen. And then it'll be a toss-up because Dan Jannon and Rodney Hunton did not qualify as of yet. So it'll be a toss-up where they get flip-flopped there. It could be 15th or be 16th and 17th.
All right. That is going to be the end of qualifying. So before we get to, let's just go ahead and give us that beautiful spin tonight. We've got 17 cars out there, so let's see how big we're actually going to get this week. And, yeah, well, not surprised. 6. Not surprised at all with a 6. Watch, it's waiting for the final race of the season to give us the full field invert. Because inevitably, that's what it's going to be. But what a race that'll be.
That's what we're waiting. We need at least a 90% or more invert for the final race, just to throw these guys off the rhythm.
Well, and to make it better, next week we will be at Lucas Oil Raceway, which is IRP for most people, to where that is going to be 200 laps on a track that's not going to be easy for these cars to pass. So here's to hoping. But while we do have a few extra minutes, I want to make sure and remind everyone out there watching that on the 19th, we will be partnering with RC2 Race Promotions for a wonderful event that we have. It will be at Irwindale in the street stocks. We had a fantastic race there in the North-South Racing League none too long ago. And honestly, street stocks, Irwindale, it's a beautiful combination.
It's going to be a fantastic ride for these guys.
And I really wish I could be running it, but I'm going to be in the booth with Mr. Carl Henderson, and it'll be a great time. So make sure check out RC2 Promotions on Facebook for more information on how to sign up.
Until then, tonight we're going to have some fun here. We got a little over 2 minutes left here in the warm-up. I couldn't hear what their shenanigans are going to be at, but there's going to be somewhere. I heard them talking about it, but they were really low when they said where it's going to be.
Just weren't listening hard enough. But any way you slice it, these guys ready for 125 laps here at Iowa under the lights, which is going to make it to where those tires are going to have a much easier time on what is a track that shreds tires, in my opinion, but that's also how I drive.
No, this track is detrimental to the tire wear. The next gen really doesn't wear on some tracks. You can be out there for 30 laps and you're just down a few percentages. But this next gen, full run, I was down, or actually about 3/4 of a run, I was down to 11% on my front right. This thing shreds tires no matter what car it is.
Hey, that just made me feel much better about my driving.
Yeah. But alrighty, these guys are gonna have a good time tonight, though. I think this track, tire combination here, the Hoosiers are gonna have some fun. Tire wear is gonna be huge, like we just stated. And I think we're gonna have to see is who can modulate the tire wear to make sure that it can carry on near the end of the run, because you're gonna be able to have to try and pass some people, and it's not going to be that easy here, especially on old, worn tires.
I'm kind of curious if there's any corn in the Sunoco fuel tonight. It would make sense. But I don't know. They are doing laps on the Legends track. I actually remember an iRacing official race in week 13 was the Street Stocks at the Charlotte Legends track, which is the tiny little thing that's on right at the start finish line. But had an absolute blast as we're starting to see these guys get flung in there. And it is time for this race to start, and it looks like my timing and scoring is being a little strange, because
why not?
Why wouldn't it do that today like it does?
Right as the race is about to start. I mean, why wouldn't it? It wouldn't work.
Let's go ahead and... That's not how things are supposed to look. This is what happens when things don't properly update. But we are ready to go. Only the front three are going to end up inverted tonight. And it's going to have to happen relatively quickly because...
You get two laps here.
Oh, I thought it was only one.
Nope. Sadly, it is 2 laps here off the start.
That's fine. But right now, Jared Moggart is going to be the one to be able to lead us to green. Ryan Johnson on his outside. John Cross is going to be on the inside of row 2. Mike Alexander on the outside. Then Bryan Hacker inside of row 3, and Will Eastman shuffled to the back of, well, the invert. But he's going to have a lot of pressure coming up behind him as Dante Curtis, oh yeah, Dante Curtis still has to serve his end of line for winning 2 races ago, since he wasn't here for the last one. But that'll simplify life for us as these guys are on the backstretch waiting for that pace truck to go ahead, peel on in. And we're about to get ourselves racing. We'll give ourselves a nice wide angle to start here so we can see what is inevitably going to be a little bit of craziness. Not Phoenix restart with the dog leg. But these guys are hitting the Geico restart zone and they are off. Jared Mogart is going to go ahead and lead us into the first turn, and he is going to try to hold on to that. Ryan Johnson is going to be at a bit of a disadvantage, not quite having the speed on entry, but he's going to carry a lot coming out of turn 2 and should be able to get a reasonable run. Poke his nose out just a little bit to start and see if he's able to hold the speed and get himself up and lead the first lap of this race, but it looks like he's going to pull it off. And it is officially time for these guys to start fanning out a little bit. I'm somewhat surprised that we haven't really seen too much motion forward yet.
Well, I mean, the bottom lane carries the really good entry into it. You're able to pull out, as we see Jared Mogart, but that outside lane just has that momentum through the center of the corner, which pulls on exit. So, I mean, then we're seeing the back and forth action between Ryan Johnson and Jared Mogart. Jared Mogart kind of looks like he should be able to clear him almost to the center of the corner, but Ryan Johnson just gets that wonderful run because he's up against the wall, and Jared just cannot get to the outside to kind of maximize his speed that he needs.
As we see that low line getting formed up a little bit and taking advantage of that draft, John Cross giving the fantastic push to the 00, and that's going to help him. He may actually be able to clear coming out of turn 2, and he's going to be able to get himself up to the wall, but he does not abandon. Actually, no, that outside line just, there's not going to be much that low line can do with that extra momentum that they're carrying.
I think he had just a brief moment where he could have done that and kind of would have set sail, because Ryan Johnson at that point would have been able to push him. That's what I would have done. I would have moved up, and now he does. He fully clears him, no skimping about it. So now he's going to be able to drop down and kind of cut off Jonathan Cross right there just a little bit, stop his forward momentum, and then get a great run out of the corner.
And that's what he's going to need to be able to just completely take over this race. John Cross is clear. He should be able to get himself all the way up to the wall. And that low line is coming to life right now. But the problem is, we're on lap 6. Are those tires going to be shot?
Yeah, I mean, these guys run the bottom the full time. I mean, you're wearing it out. As we see John Cross hit the wall coming out of turn 4 right there. Kind of just went up a little bit too high, but luckily these cars are tanks, and he's still right there with them.
I thought you were going to talk about Bryan Hacker chopping the nose off of the 38 coming out of the corner. But you know what? It's the right move. You got to kill a little bit of momentum. Both of you guys are still in the hunt ever so slightly for that championship this season. It's what you need to do, is take a few chances. Maybe a little early in the race, but as we see, John Cross is now trying to put the moves on Jared Mogart to try to take over the lead, but Bryan Hacker is going to give that 00 a little bit of extra aero help. And now that low line with Ryan Johnson and Dustin Shepard. John Cross is about to get some help.
Yeah, they're trying their best right now to organize it. And Ryan Johnson's finally fed up with the top lane there. He drops down to the bottom. Now looking to get underneath Bryan Hacker here, going down the back straightaway. But Bryan Hacker has got a really great draft going down the back straight. Puts him 3 wide almost. Gets his nose there. Middle 3 and 4. Tries to make it 3 wide, but they're able to pull away from him. Back to double file here, all the way back until about 11th spot there.
And we see a little bit of blinking from Dustin Shepard, and especially on a draft-heavy track, that is not what you're wanting to see. But definitely, we can see the effects of that draft, because literally everyone still within touching distance of one another. And the only time that that's a problem, somebody touches up here at the front, we're going to see a big one.
Yeah. I mean, luckily right now we're seeing some really great clean racing. Very, very close racing, though, at the same time. These guys are having some fun right now.
And that group up here at the front, Bryan Hacker is trying everything he possibly can to get clear of John Cross, but John Cross running the perfect defensive line. He basically pins him between Will Eastman and Jared Mogard to where he doesn't have the space to really drop all the way down like he really wants to. And these guys are close, but they keep it clean. As we see Ryan Johnson shift down to that low line, seeing if maybe he can make something work. But Bryan Hacker now clear, setting his sights on the 0-0, and I give it maybe a lap before he is going to throw it down and, okay, a straightaway.
A corner.
As he gets the nose out in front, but the 0-0 is going to be able to hang on with that extra momentum. And we'll see, is he going to be flirting with that yellow line, not nearly to the point that John Cross is behind him. But these guys are keeping it close and keeping it quick. And just shakeups. Ryan Johnson gets real close to the 89 as he comes down, looking to maybe try to get himself down below the 10. But that 89 is looking fast, even without having the full width of the track to work.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a fantastic job right now, doing what he can. We got Bryan Hacker moving to the outside. He's trying to the top side now. He couldn't get the bottom side to work, so moving around. We see Ryan Johnson right now trying to find a way to get around Jonathan Cross, and then just 2x2 from there back.
And no one's really trying too many moves. We do see Dante Curtis there towards the back of this lower line, has managed to get himself up into 11th. But there's not really anywhere to go because everybody else in front of you has the draft. So it's kind of difficult to be able to really get a run. And we're seeing the two of the top in the championship rolling a little bit farther back than you would expect, to where Dante Curtis, Mike Alexander, these guys may just be biding their time, waiting to see if these guys up towards the front maybe cook their tires a little too early.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to tell. These guys are going to have to try and work their best to try and get through the pack, and these tires are taking a beating right now. These guys are moving from one lane to another. Nobody's really clear. Bryan Hacker's up there, but he's not really clear. He can't run the preferred line that he would probably want to right now. You know, entering in kind of in the middle, hitting the center apex and driving off. That's kind of the preferred one here, looks like, with the street stocks. But Jared's able to time that center of the corner where he's not able to do that.
And he seems to be getting fantastic runs to where it looks like he's maybe backing up his entries ever so slightly and being able to get on that throttle a little bit earlier. Where, yeah, Bryan Hacker he probably could get himself down in front of the 0-0, but he's being the gentleman because, as we could see, not quite clear enough to be able to really get himself down to where he needs to. But he's getting an amazing push from the 13, but that 0-0 just fills that space immediately.
Yeah, I mean, we're still pretty early on the run. When lap 21, 25, are now 21. So I mean, we got 104 laps to go here. So we still got a long ways to go here. So I mean, trying to be out there. At least he's at the front of the track, at the pack right now as it sits. There's a lot of people still trying to work their way up, and we got Dante, who started near the back. I mean, he's still there. I mean, it's hard to drive through this pack right now, just being double file like this. I mean, you try to pick a lane, and hopefully it goes the way you want it to, but as of right now, and people were moving back and forth, just not going anywhere.
And, I mean, it's basically what you see at some of those draft-heavy tracks. It's pretty much what you would expect. Like you said, it's Michigan. As it looks like right now, Dustin Shepard's going to try to get his nose down below the 38, keep him from being able to run that low line, get all the way down. But giving each other enough space to where they can really sit there, fight, and Ryan Johnson's able to just, he's going to get himself down below Will Eastman, and he's going to come up and give that 00 a little bit of support. And he's just trying to slice his way up to the front right now.
Slowly but surely, he's trying to make his way up there. We got a long race to go, like I said. And we got, a little bit of a shakeup right there. Looks like John Cross got a little bit loose and kind of stacked up the field there. But everybody kind of worked its way out. Dustin Shepard now looks like he's trying to pull ahead here. We're going to make it 3 wide. Gary Eschen drops down to below Dustin Shepard and John Cross coming across in the turn 1 3 wide.
And this is where we're going to start seeing a lot of entertainment as these guys take advantage of someone else's bobble and just work your way back up into the field. Gary Eschen outside of that invert, really just trying to get himself back up because he started very far back in the pack. And he is currently up, according to timing and scoring, 9 positions right now. And he's having himself a good run, and by my guess, we're about halfway through this first stint. But again, that was also me running no draft. So as John Cross is looking to put himself down below the 23, is he going to be able to hold it? He came in kind of hot. Gary Eschen squeezes him down, and that's going to ruin his run out of the corner. And now Dante Curtis right there behind, trying to work his way up, but these guys are going 3 wide in the middle of the corner. And we've got ourselves a fight as right now Dante Curtis, Mike Alexander, and Adam Gebel going 3 wide. Adam Gebel is just forcing his way through, throwing that 91 in where you would not expect someone, as John Cross hits the wall, and that's going to separate these groups ever so slightly, but it's only going to be for a little while before these guys get back within touching distance.
Yeah, these guys, I mean, they're running some fast laps here, and we got a kind of a breakaway now due to that little bit of a wall contact, kind of separated the field. Adam Gebel's sitting about, let's see here, time and scoring shows him about a half second back, about 6 car lengths back. Let's see if he can close the gap and how soon. And I think these guys are going to need to work together to try to make these 2 packs connect again.
I don't think it's going to take too long because, in all honesty, with that 91 being able to run the preferred line, he's just going to drag that back group up to the front because running side by side, no one's able to run the fastest line around this track. So somebody that's able to where Adam Gebel, Adam Boltemere, those guys are able to just go ahead, run the full line, take every inch of that track that they possibly can. And now it's down to 3/10. They're right in that draft window.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to kind of work together somewhat, though, to try to make up that little bit of time. Looks like they're kind of stacking up. Adam Gebel's right there on the heels. Looks like they're going to be able to get there. But now the second pack, though, all single file. It's going to take somebody to jump to the outside there or the bottom. Not sure. I'm surprised nobody kind of dipped down there and try to make the bottom group right there work. And trying to get away from somebody, but it looks like that backpack is all single file. And just the front 5 or 6 are double file right now.
And as we can see, Bryan Hacker actually is going to be able to get himself fully clear. He could run that low line all the way around, or run at the preferred line all the way. But I think he just found his groove running that one lane up, and as tire wear starts to become a factor, honestly, he's going to have a little bit of extra rubber there to get him to the end of this stint.
Yeah, I mean, I found on this type of track that, running that middle line kind of allows you to keep up your momentum. And whenever you keep up your momentum like that.
The 38 and the 91, they tag one another. And not sure how that's not a caution at this point, but yeah, that was one of those very unfortunate things that not exactly sure they must be running, but that's pretty much going to be game over for the 38 right there. And I think the crash that we're seeing, yeah, that's the 91, just calling it, because it looks like got a few extra sparks going right there. Yeah, he has no steering. So he just parks it, jumps into the pits. So Ryan Johnson, I think that is going to be game over for those two. And things are heating up once again. And unfortunately, the big thing that is going to have caused is now we're seeing another little bit of a breakaway, so some of these guys are going to have to work pretty hard to get themselves caught up. But Ryan Johnson back out on track. Looks like he just ended up going one lap down. No, that's timing and screwing up on it.
Fun times. Yeah, right now these guys are running pretty well. Bryan Hacker is able to clear everybody right now. He's kind of out there on his own, but he's still kind of running that middle groove, keeping up the most momentum as he can right now. He's got Will Eastman right there on his trails. I'm working together. I'm not sure, but he's staying there where Will Eastman's able to catch the draft for him the whole entire way. Dustin Shepard's right there on the backside. He's trying to close the gap right there. So first place is out by himself. Second through fifth are all side by side after that.
All right, just because I think it's probably going to be one of the most brilliant views that we have right now, head on to the Kelly's Custom Engraving roll bar camera, and this is Dustin Shepard. He's got the 75 down below him, and he just has the perfect view of this group in front of him, just continuing to fight. Jared Mager down there on the low line gets loose, and that's going to send him down towards the wall. And I'm just going to stick with, I think that iRacing is just out there tonight to make it to where these guys have no hope of catching.
So we had some cautions or things that I thought were going to be cautions at Iowa a couple of weeks ago, and nothing was thrown. So it's kind of like this tonight. There's some weird things happen. People throwing out some weirdness where I believe should have been caution, but iRacing says nope, that is not caution worthy.
Well, and that is going to shake things up even more to where now it's just Bryan Hacker and Will Eastman. These guys have over half a second gap from Gary Eschen, and it's 0.4 of a second back to Dustin Shepard. And now Dustin Shepard and Dante Curtis able to get themselves linked up. And we see our first pit. Robbie Clavey has made his way into pit lane. I'm wondering if that's calculated because he knows that, hey, it's going to be a threat on fuel tonight. And that's roughly splitting this into exactly a third. So why not take the chance? You're going to end up going down. So why not just get it out of the way now, undercut everyone, and maybe, just maybe, come out through the pit cycle in first.
Yeah, these guys are working hard right now, trying to figure out where they're going to go. I think pitting, did he pit by himself? I couldn't
He
see
did, but he's
that's,
also not back out. So I'm wondering if maybe he collected a little bit of damage there and called it a night. So
That's going to be the hardest thing right there is if you do pit, you want at least somebody to go with you. You need to have this draft because I think it's going to be beneficial to carry these speeds together to have that draft.
nope, he is back out on track, laps down. Because he was in pit lane for 1 minute and 20 seconds, so chances are he's 3 laps down at this point. But if he's able to link up, get himself a little bit of help, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing. People were set, and we're seeing Dustin Shepard, Dante Curtis making their way into the pits. They're going to go in together. So definitely that means we are looking at a 2-stopper for these guys. With them having a little bit of help together.
And that's what I would do. I mean, I would make sure I was short pitted enough to get these faster speeds here. These guys are losing a little over. I mean, look at the newer people that's already pitted here. Yeah, they're running actually not that far off from the lead pack. Looking at their lap times here versus the leaders, but they're in draft versus these guys might be out by themselves.
And these front two are going to go ahead and stay out. Gary Eschen going to look to try to be able to lead a lap over Bryan Hacker as he throws it down all the way to the yellow line, and he is going hot coming out of the corner. The 11 slots in right behind him. Perchance these guys just decided, you know what? Oh, Bryan Hacker going into the pits, looking a little bit sideways. He's going in. Mike Alexander, Matt Cook. This is going to be the group to beat because they are in there. It's 4 deep. And that is probably going to be the right move because it's taken a little while for these guys to get their fuel and tires. But Gary Eschen staying out. I'm wondering if he maybe found the perfect path to be able to get him all the way through to where he can split this into a 1-stopper. I doubt it. As he drops down early.
I mean, this is a very tricky pit road here. To carry your speed, it feels like you have to really slow down, and it's just absurd the slow speed you have to kind of slow down to make that pit road entry. The way it's angled coming off of it, you can't really just pull off the track that last second, carrying too much speed because you can't get that arc just right because of the way the track is banked. I tried so many different variations. The only way I found is you got to give up a lot of speed to be able to make it work right without sacrificing a pit road speeding penalty or missing it altogether.
Adam, is this a track that I've rear-ended you on pit entry before?
No, that was Chicagoland. That was
I
where you
know,
got me.
but it's been multiple times that I've done that.
Yeah.
But Dante Curtis currently with everybody in the pits. Him and Dustin Shepard look like they are going to be able to take over the lead of this race with a brilliantly timed pit stop to where these two working together as it looks like the 89 may have tagged the wall coming out of 2. Maybe. Didn't see sparks. But there is nothing quite like green flag pit stops to be able to shake up the outlook of a race. And definitely these guys going to cycle through to be the lead of this race. John Cross is wrapping up his pit stop right now. And these guys entering turn 3 to get their laps back. It's all going to be on how John Cross gets himself out of the pit lanes. He hasn't quite gotten out of his stall, so he is going to end up falling back. And Gary Eschen is working on trying to get himself into his pit stall. I'm curious if he ended up with a penalty for speeding, because he had already stopped.
Probably if he did, it was, no, he changes right side tires right there. And he left. So he disconnected. Nope, he disconnected. So he is out of the race.
All right, we are currently running. We've still got 12 out there on track. And since things are kind of shaken up, may as well put the track map back up so people can see where everyone is out on track, as Robbie Clavey, the first to stop tonight, is going to be under threat from going a lap down from Dante Curtis and Dustin Shepard. These guys have a 1.5 seconds back to Will Eastman, and he has no help.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering how strong the draft is with street stocks, because every car is completely different of how far back can the draft affect these guys' car. So we'll see if he falls back any further, but it looks like he is. He's about, I'd say he lost about 0.04 of a second on the back straightaway there.
He was actually the last lap just about even with Dante Curtis and Dustin Shepard. And lap times are pretty even. Actually, the fastest lap right now, this last time around, was Jared Moggard, and he's about to collect a little bit of assistance from Matt Cook and Adam Boltemere if they decide to not go too wide for too long.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, I know people will like, oh, I have a faster car, I want to get by, but there's so many laps left. You need to work together. Like, you need to have the mindset of work together as much as possible to get this done. Matt Cook, though, I mean, he could run the middle to high line there to get a little bit more speed on the exit, not to kill his tires. So when and if they do catch, they'll have a little bit fresher tires than trying to run the bottom, destroying it, trying to hit that yellow line every lap.
And honestly, it's not a terrible idea. His last lap, he was 0.3 slower, but really not overheating those tires is going to be huge for these guys, especially when you're talking, we still have one more stop.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to save it. This time, everybody's strung out. Everybody's kind of open up this. I mean, this is kind of semi how plate races somehow work on iRacing, is, you know, everybody's bunched up till that first green flag pit stop. And once you get that one done, it could mean it spreads out. If you and your team can work together, or you and some friends that are kind of working together on a super speedway, that you're working together with different teams, you guys all pit together, and hopefully none of you guys get any penalties. You guys can come out and kind of pull away and have different type of pit strategy. So it's kind of what Dustin Shepard and Dante Curtis did. They were able to come in together, leave together, and just work this draft beautifully.
And I think right now, as we're hitting half race distance, it's perfect time for us to take a quick moment and hear from the partners of the North-South Racing League.
Five Star Realty Group is located on the Emerald Coast in beautiful Panama City, Florida. The Five Star Realty Group has years of experience in residential properties, investment opportunities, vacation rentals, and commercial properties, and looks forward to helping you with all of your real estate needs. Kelly's Custom Engraving is a locally owned and operated business located in Wellville, North Carolina, specializing in custom engraving of wood, leather, glass, acrylic, and many more materials. Be sure to like and follow their Facebook page to view all of their amazing products and place your order.
Alright, and not really surprising too many. No real shakeups. Will Eastman gets himself around Robbie Clavey and still setting his sights on trying to catch Dante Curtis and Dustin Shepard. Honestly, a second and a half is not the worst place to be in right now. He can still see them from his seat. But the big thing he's going to have to keep an eye on is he going to react to those front two's pit stops, because he's actually cutting about 1/10 of a second out per lap at this point. And honestly, if he keeps pushing it, he may be able to get up there close enough to where the draft will be able to pull him closer.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, he just keeps running his laps, not abuse your tires, and hopefully these guys using this draft, you know, it gives them straightaway speeds, but they have to slow down. These faster straightaway speeds can wear your front tires out just a little bit more than everybody else's who, you know, don't have that draft, that extra 2 to 3 miles an hour going in the corner that, you know, Will Eastman doesn't have. He doesn't have to slow down as much going into the corner, and it's not abusing his tires as much.
And I'll have to just ask you, Adam, because we've proven over and over again that you were way better at speedways. Honestly, is really, because we're seeing Will Eastman, he's not within the draft at this point. Is he just that much faster because he is not having to deal with those aero issues?
It's both the aero issue and just having to come in a little bit hotter in the corners. Once you're coming in hotter in the corners, you're having a little bit more aggressive tire wear on the front right. You're heating it up, and it's wearing them out just a little bit faster. When you're out by yourself, he's able to kind of gently kind of put the car where he needs it and not overrun the corner. These extra speeds, they're trying to maximize the speeds going on the straightaway. Because if you look at the time right now, Will Eastman loses on the straightaway but gains in the corners because he's not having that extra speed. I find sometimes in like this track in general, with a little bit faster of a car, running the top line like you would in a super speedway, trying to run down the turn one for a fast lap, carrying more speed is more detrimental to me trying to get a fast lap than actually running the normal corner where you're coming out of 4 hooking the bottom and carrying your normal speed into turn 1. So these extra 2 to 3 miles an hour going into it is overheating these tires, and it's going to allow Will Eastman, if he, you know, babied his tires, to actually come up to the front.
And just so everyone knows, generally I defer to Adam for how to run these kinds of tracks.
Yeah, sometimes it takes an art. I used to be the master of a long run speed. I somehow went away from that, and then I just had raw speed from the get-go, and I've lost everything. So I'm trying to learn to get back the long run speed. So it's touch and go for me.
But as we jump a little farther back in the pack, Jared Moggard, after that spin, taking advantage of these green flag stops, he's now trying to track down Mike Alexander. These are definitely two people that I think are going to have that common goal of, I don't care. Let's just make it to where we can try to catch that front group.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing right now. You have to find somebody that's willing to sit in line and just work, because if you sit there and try to run and pass each other right now, you're never going to catch the people in front of you, no matter what. And you need to start hopping in somebody else's TeamSpeak channel right now, or private channel on iRacing, whatever you got, and start being like, what lap do you want to pit on? Because you saw what Dustin Shepard and Dante Curtis did. We need to do the same.
And Mike Alexander is definitely not in the same channel. But honestly, these guys are running quite the race as the double zeros jumping into the pits. We've got 50 laps left. Does he think that actually right now may be the perfect time for him? He seems to have that long run speed. So let's see, as I'm just going to jump to the bumper of Dante Curtis, who's currently running in second. Dustin Shepard, they swap places probably for the sake of fuel efficiency. But that little bit of a shakeup between them, that is going to make it so. Will Eastman now 0.8 of a second back, and the front end of that 13 is looking a little close to the 03.
Yeah, these guys are running really close together, doing their best to push each other as much as possible here. Dante Curtis running a little bit lower, trying to get the aerodynamics to work with him for him. Kind of a little bit of nose pressure right there. But Dante, I mean, by the end of the corner, I mean, he's all but hitting him right there on the rear end.
And these two are the only two in the DCD team chat right now, and 100% they're talking, trying to figure this out. Dante Curtis led the first half of the stint. Now it's time for Dustin Shepard to probably cool his tires a little bit and make it to where Dante can save a little bit of extra fuel. But Robbie Clavey has made his way in. Jared Mogard, Mike Alexander. Those guys definitely short pitting. But that could be the exact move that they need. Because why not throw some strange strategy in tonight?
Yeah, I think these guys, oh man, it's going to be fantastic to see what this next pit stop is, because everybody has to time it perfectly. You're going to have to maximize the time on and off pit road. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, Dante Curtis and Dustin Shepard both had 1 minute and 22-second pit stop time, and the people behind them was a 125, 127, 128, 127, 126. So they're all 3 to 6 seconds behind him. I mean, that's where they made their money tonight right now in that first pit stop, was their total pit road time overall. So these guys are doing a fantastic job right now, capitalizing. But we see Will Eastman creeping right there in the picture, as we have Jared Mogard. He's 1 lap down right there, coming up basically where it shows him in 4th right there, but he's actually a lap down, sitting in 10th right now.
And the one thing to note, he definitely did not go. He either did not do all 4 tires, or he ended up just taking right sides.
The wall right there. He just came off the corner right there. It kind of smacked the wall.
And he's looking to get that lap back. Will Eastman up on his outside, but he's taking advantage of that fresh set of tires that he threw on there, trying to get his lap back. The leaders go ahead, give him that low line, knowing that there is not really going to be too much that they can do. But Will Eastman, he is going to take advantage, get himself down below Dante Curtis. And these guys are now going to be pulled along by the double zero, who, he's 2 laps down. You lied to us, Adam.
Oh, sorry, I can't really see the lap timer here. It's 2 laps down. But anyway, once they all pit and the cycle goes through, they'll be able to do it. I mean, the good part about these guys staying out is that there's less fuel that has to go in. So they're going to go out when they come in. The longest part of this thing, I believe, is the actual fuel itself. Once the tires get changed, they sit there and wait for fuel. So these guys are going to have to put in just a little bit less fuel than everybody else the longer they stay out here. So they first came in lap 46. We're sitting at 85. So if they do another 45 lap run, 46 lap run, they'll be coming around lap 90, 92, somewhere around that time frame. So we can look to see them probably next 5 to 7 laps.
But Will Eastman is going to go ahead and take over the lead of this race. And now Bryan Hacker has joined the back of this pack, and he's going to go ahead and slot himself down below, take advantage of the fresh Hoosiers, and try to get around him, get himself up to Jared Mogard. But the one thing that, if I'm sitting in Will Eastman's shoes, I understand wanting to get out to the front of this pack and lead some laps. Knowing that Dante Curtis and Dustin Shepard did a fantastic job on their pit stops, I'm actually going to want to sit there and wait to see what they do and react with them as they go into the pits right now. Now Will Eastman is going to have to react. He's probably going to end up getting himself in on this next lap, whereas had he been behind them, he would have been able to react, join them, to where potentially pending a good pit stop, would have been able to join and come back out with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to look at, you know. Sometimes, you know, you see the faster guy coming up behind you right there. It's kind of nice, you know, if you have a teammate working with them, that person doesn't, let them go by. Then you can, you know, short pit right behind them and maybe gain a second or so coming off of that pit road based off of that.
And right now, the current leader is Adam Boltmere. Inherits the lead, and he was not all that far behind these guys. But the difference is, when you come down to pit road, you're going to lose a lap or two. And as we've seen, apparently, iRacing in Iowa, there's not going to be cautions.
I think it's something catastrophic that needs to happen right now for these guys to get a caution. But right now we got 3 people on the lead lap. Adam Boltmere, Matt Cook, and Cal Walgreen. They're the only 3 right now on the lead lap. Everybody else is laps down due to the pit cycle right now. But Dante Curtis and Dustin Shepard are the top front runners right now after this pit cycle. Will Eastman, he took an extra 10 seconds compared to these front 2. So he came in 1 lap after him, but his pit road time is the slowest out of everybody that's already pitted right now in the second pit cycle.
And his time in his box was 6 seconds slower. So yeah, that is going to be a large chunk of that, but at the same time, there's really going to be only so much you can do. These 2 up at the front, well, will inherit the front eventually. But Adam Boltmere, Matt Cook, and Kyle Walgreen, they are looking to hang on, but there is quite the gap. Matt Cook is nearly 3 seconds back. Kyle Walgreen is 12.5 seconds back. Just got passed by Dante Curtis and Dustin Shepard. That puts them on the same lap as him, just pretty much a full lap. But the one thing to keep in mind, Jared Mogard, with that earlier pit stop, he actually is only about 2.5 seconds back from Dustin Shepard and Dante Curtis. And they really aren't pulling away all that quickly. It's only about a 10th per lap.
And then you also, I mean, Jared's got a Latin car right there in front of him. He's able to kind of pull down through him. Actually, no, he's not. Kyle's on the lead lap and their lap traffic. But once they pit, Kyle will go to the back there. But Kyle's running in third right there and gives Jared Mogard just a little bit of a room to pull right there. So, you know, he's going to have a little drafting help thanks to Kyle.
And Kyle's one of the later pit stops. He pitted on lap 51. So he has a few extra laps of life left in those tires. But I mean, he's going to be able to absolutely push on his final stint. I'm not sure it's going to be quite enough to be able to really play a role in this, but Jared Mogart now down to a second and a half back. So he is actually within view of Dante Curtis to where he's only about a turn behind. And that 00, showing the speed that we have seen from him all night. He was able to fight up at the front of that pack. If it wasn't for the bobble, there's a reasonable chance he may inherit the lead of this. He would have inherited the lead of this race at some point.
I mean, right now we got Adam, Matt, and Kyle still out there 1, 2, and 3. I mean, right now you're hoping for something catastrophic to happen. Rest of the field's lap down. Everybody else will take the wave around, of course, to get back on the lead lap, and we'll have one of them will do it. But hey, actually we got 2 going in a pit. Yep, 2 going in pit road right now. It's gonna leave Adam out there.
And all 3 of our leaders are in pit road. So Dustin Shepard, and it's looking like the tail end of this race is going to heat up to where Dustin Shepard is going to take over the lead of this race come the next lap. Dante Curtis right behind him. Jared Mogart in the 00 now within striking distance. And sure enough, at the tail end of all of this, Bryan Hacker only about 3/4 of a second back. The 00 has managed to catch these front 2. And Bryan Hacker should be able to take advantage of the draft, get himself up here for the last 25 laps of this race, to where this is not going to be a boring end as Dante Curtis goes a little bit wide. The 00 is going to put himself down below and try to get himself around, and he has a head of steam looking to get himself around the 89. He slides up ever so slightly in the middle of the corner, but the 00 is going to make it to where Dustin Shepard does not lead a lap, but we've got 26 laps to go, and that 00 is just looking to set sail.
And when Bryan Hacker's coming through as well. I mean, you wouldn't think this would happen because they have they have 7. Bryan Hacker has 7 older laps, and Jared Mogart's 16 lap older tires than these guys. 14. Sorry, my math is terrible tonight. 13, 14, somewhere around there. But wait, older tires. You would think Dante Curtis and them would have the quicker tires here.
And I'm curious if this was a bit of a calculated move from them. Let these 2 by. Let them just pull us along. And a little bit of nerd about me did a lot of cycle racing. You, on an endurance race, you did not want to be the man in the lead. You did not want to be the one that was punching the hole in the air. You wanted to just hang out behind everyone else. Just get yourself into a line.
Maybe their fuel calculation was just a little bit off. Maybe they just put a little bit right on the money, and like you said, they ride right back there. They can let off the gas just a little bit, going in the corner a little bit sooner and getting back on the throttle a little bit later, getting the draft on the back straightaway, maybe 96% throttle, not a full 100%, but let the draft kind of pull you the rest of that 4%. Save some fuel here and be ready for the end. In case cautions actually might be turned on, and you might go for a green-white checker.
As they're hitting some lap traffic, Robbie Clavey is going to go ahead and give them that low line. Bryan Hacker is going to try to take advantage of that, get himself outside of the 00. Can't quite get the move done, but we're going 3 wide and real close going out of turn 4, getting to that front stretch. And this is, as the 73 is going to go ahead and, I think we've seen that in a NASCAR race recently. Just go ahead and ride the wall.
Yeah.
But the 11 is going to throw a move down on the double zero. He may actually be able to get himself up into the lead of this race. And it's a little loose coming out of turn 4, but he is going to have that nose just in front and lead the lap. We've got 20 laps to go, and I think that it's going to be a little bit crazy to close this one out.
Yeah, these guys are going to be fantastic again. We had a little bit of a dull moment there in the middle of the race, but this finish is going to be fantastic. I believe these 4 drivers right here are going to put on a heck of a show. We got Mike Alexander sitting about almost 4 seconds back. I don't think he's going to be able to make it there in the next 19 laps.
I don't think he's really going to be able to close it down. But with these two battling the way that they're the 2 with the older tires. Dante Curtis and Dustin Shepard, honestly, they weren't really pushing it. They let these guys kind of close up on them. And now it's, well, let's wait for an error.
Yeah. I mean, right now, it's what's going to happen between Bryan Hacker and Jared Mogard? Are they going to make contact coming out of the corner? Are they going to slide on each other? Is one of them going to move up a little bit too much and the other person overreacts and kind of overcorrects? So there's a lot of things that can happen right now where these guys running side by side, and with 17 laps to go, it's not like we're at 3 laps in the start of the race. We're coming towards the end. The aggression's going to get a little bit higher. People might not lift as much, and going to push it even harder right now. Tires are starting to get worn out quicker and quicker. So let's see if and will there be a mistake to happen here.
And I would definitely say that within the next 5 laps, it's going to become go time for those 2 DCD cars, because the longer that this battle rages in front of them, the longer that they essentially end up blocking any kind of passes, because we haven't really seen too much 3 wide action. These guys probably going to get a little bit frustrated, because when they're 2 cars wide, there's not going to be too much room for the other cars to go ahead, slot themselves in there and make a pass, because we can see right now that 03 doing everything he can. He's looking high, he's looking low to try to figure out where he's going to be able to get the run, get himself up into the lead of this race. But with that lap traffic of John Cross that they're coming up to, that's when things get real interesting.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to try to figure something out here. Where can they get by? Because when they're running side by side, there's really no place for Dante or Dustin Shepard to get to at all. These guys are kind of blocked right now. There's really no third lane here. I mean, you can try and dive at the bottom of the corner, but I mean, you're going to have a most fantastic drive out of the corner to get below Bryan Hacker to make it 3 wide underneath him.
Well, and the other thing that they're going to have to keep an eye on is, and I'm trying to look to see if I can find the information, I'm pretty sure that marbles, to where there's a lot of extra rubber from these tires around the outside, and you can kind of see it building up on that outside line, as right now Bryan Hacker looks to have gotten clear of the double zero. Dante Curtis still searching for his way around, and he's gonna need something to happen to get himself up into the lead of this race. And I just don't know if there's gonna be a door open, as the 89.
I don't think there's going to be a door open. I think you're going to have to kind of force a door, get close to that back bumper, take the arrow off of them, do something to kind of change the balance of these guys' car. But as you can tell, I mean, Dante can't really get to him. I mean, he gets close to him, but I mean, these guys are pulling away.
And honestly, that is going to be the frustration. We've got 10 laps to go, crossing the line for 9. It's honestly going to turn into, it may almost be nudge time from Dante Curtis as we'll go on board right now with him. We can see some extra lap traffic there. Bryan Hacker is leaving absolutely no extra room for the 00. And honestly, it's probably, this is going to be flirting with some disaster as these guys are going to keep running hard. Bryan Hacker has a little bobble on the exit of turn 2, but
I mean, only thing I can think of right now
as
is
they touch,
points issues right now is I think Dante is hoping Jared gets by him. He's going to work with Jared as much as he can to kind of push Jared to the front here, so Jared gets the win over Bryan Hacker. Because if you're thinking about points, if you can't make your way through there, you got to push Jared to the win.
but we keep seeing a little bit of sheet metal rubbing between the 00 and the 11. And with 6 laps to go, the last few laps they've touched, and that's not what Dante Curtis wants to be seeing, because he is too close to be able to get out of the way of a spin.
Yeah, he's going to have to push like crazy and hope that something weird happens in the next couple of laps here. As we're at coming to 5 laps to go now. If there's something to happen, he's got to be there, but not too close, but enough to where he could capitalize off of it.
And honestly, Bryan Hacker has himself in the perfect position to where he seems to have the speed coming out of turn 4, and it looks like he may be able to get completely clear of the 00 as trying to cross him over, but the 11 moves to that outside line. The 00 now is probably in the better position. Ooh. Slides up the... Oh, this is going to get a little bit extra spicy, but that's going to give the opportunity for the 03. He may be able to push Bryan Hacker, and this may be able to get him clear to where he's at least able to get a second place with that 00 on the low line. No, the 00 cuts in front of the 89. And now Dante Curtis has 3 laps to get the job done. As long as he can keep himself down below the 11, he's going to have a chance to squeak out that ever so slight win coming out of turn 4 with those extra few just fractions of a millimeter of tire.
We went from side-by-side road blocking to now single file. Who's going to throw down the pass? Who's going to try to do the slide job with 2 laps to go?
Well, we already know who exactly it's going to be. It's going to be Dante Curtis on Bryan Hacker. He's running that outside line, getting that late apex to see if he's able to get the run coming out of turn 4. He is going to slide it down, and the 00 is going to follow him in there. But Dante Curtis manages to get himself down below the 11. He's got a little bit of extra speed. It's going to come down to who has the most momentum as we have half a lap to go. The 03 down below the 11. It's going to be all about the exit speed of turn 4 as they rub ever so slightly. The 11 gets moved up the track, and Dante Curtis is going to go ahead, bring home the win tonight at Iowa. Bryan Hacker gives him a little bit of a nudge, maybe to try to get him a little loose, but the 03 pulls off the perfect pass to get himself the win. Started at the back, and Jared Mogard comes home in 3rd tonight.
Yeah, that's a fantastic race for these guys. Fantastic ending. You know, these guys were able to group up and finally make some passes right there at the end. Great racing.
All right, our winner tonight is Mr. Dante Curtis. Second, Bryan Hacker. Third, Jared Moggard. Fourth, Dustin Shepard. Fifth, Mike Alexander. Will Eastman is in sixth. Matt Cook, seventh. Adam Boltemere in eighth. Ninth, Rodney Huntoon. 10th, John Cross. 11th, Kyle Walgreen. 12th is Travis Hoefler. 13th, Robbie Clavey. 14th, Adam Gebel. 15th, Gary Eschen. 16th, Ryan Johnson. And 17th is Dan Janjanin. All right. I guess it is officially time for us to go ahead, bring up our winner tonight, Mr. Dante Curtis. And while that finish was...
Welcome back.
Oh, apparently you couldn't hear me. That finish, we thought that for a little while there that you weren't going to be able to have an open door to get around those two in front of you.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, me and Dustin, when we pit, we started saving fuel because we quickly realized we didn't take enough fuel, and they caught us really quick and saw they were coming, so we were like, well, if we just let them come by, we can try and catch a little draft off of them. So that whole run right there, me and him was just hanging back, saving fuel. We didn't really want to do nothing, and kind of saved our tires there, and just tried to be in the right spot at the right time.
So Josh and I called that one correctly then. We were wondering if you guys didn't take enough fuel there.
Oh yeah, we were a couple laps short, and I'd probably say about 2 or 3 laps short, and then we just started clutching after we get past the start-finish line a little bit and coast into the corner. And honestly, it worked out because we were able to kind of save our tires a little bit doing that. We weren't having to work them as hard. So all in all, I was really, really glad that strategy worked out the way it did. I was worried it was going to backfire.
No, I was definitely worried for you because, yeah, Adam called it perfectly that you guys just maybe didn't quite fuel it enough. But once those two went side by side, there were no doors available for you guys to slide in there. And luckily, at a certain point, you guys got single file, which meant it was go time.
Yeah, I was really liking it. Them being too wide in front because we were able to save enough fuel and nobody was able to drive away from us. So that was really the best thing that could have happened there. And I tried setting it up one time a couple laps before when they were too wide. I was planning on them being too wide coming to the checkered, and then I was gonna try something 3 wide. But when I saw him get single file, I thought, that was the race because we were still just close enough. I think I crossed with 0.5 gallons left, or 0.2 gallons left, my bad. And I really thought we were going to be screwed there, and just took one last little look at the fuel number there at the white flag, and just decided it was go time. And the way they battled, man, they put on a heck of a show. The gloves were off, they were dooring each other like crazy. So hopefully after all that riding around, hopefully we put on a good show.
Definitely the second stint had us a little worried that we were going to end up with a snooze fest, and it was just going to be you and Dustin seeing who would be the faster of the two and who could put on the better move. But I'll probably never say this again, but thank you for missing your fuel calculation.
Yeah, I think Bryan he nailed the strategy pretty good. I think if we would have took the fuel we needed right there, I don't know if we would have come out in front, but we could have raced them a little different. I don't know. I'm glad it worked out the way it did, and I knew I couldn't beat him running the bottom down there. So he's the guy I got to beat for these points, and I really just wasn't gonna let him run the top on me because we were just talking about earlier this week how I passed him on the top in a dirt car. So we always love to poke fun at each other, and it's really good to race with Bryan. He probably owes me a couple, so good racing with him.
No, it was a fantastic end of the race, and maybe just enough to where next week, as long as you show up, the season is yours. But actually, I'm doing the math quickly in my head, and I'm not Adam, so you can trust it a little bit more.
I don't think. I think the most you can gain is about like 50 or so, and I don't think we're gonna have enough built up because Bryan finished right there with us. So really, the only thing I'm worried about is the big perfect attendance award. They get a extra 10 points if they show up to all races. So I missed out on that. So
Yeah,
I
you
need
went
to.
and had fun with at the last race. Your dad was making fun of you for it.
Yeah, I missed you guys. I had a concert that we got tickets for and all that a while back, and I thought I had a big enough points lead built up, so I thought I could miss it, and hopefully we can still hold on to it.
No, still a great run from you since you had to take the penalty from the win 2 races ago. Still get yourself up to the front. A little sketchy apparently with the fuel calculations, but still here you are talking to us.
Yeah, somehow, some way, that was a long 125 laps, but first off, I gotta thank Dustin and Brandon back at DCD Racing. Always good working strategy with them. Always helps to have somebody to pit with. At these basically super speedways. You gotta give a shout out to Bryan. I mean, once again, I hated had to do it like that, but the way him and Jared raced, I kind of figured the gloves was off, and that wasn't really no different than what they'd been doing. But thanks to you guys for putting on a good broadcast, and all the guys back at the NSRL that give us a good place to race every week.
No, we're looking forward to seeing if you're able to close out the season next week at IRP, and it's been a fantastic season.
Yeah, it's been a long one, but thankfully we got to talk to you guys a couple times this year, so it's been pretty fun.
All right, thank you, sir. Congratulations, and we'll see if you're able to close it out next week.
Thank you, guys. Hopefully talk to y'all next week.
All right, take care,
Have a good
sir.
one.
User left your channel.
All right, onward to second, and had some good fights there at the end, but ultimately ever so slightly behind.
Yeah, another day, another podium, another not first place finish.
No, it was still just an amazing run. For a little while there, we didn't know where you were going to end up, and then suddenly, there you are. In the battle.
Finally played pit strategy to our favor for once. Normally I'm not very good at math, so it worked out. It got us in position for the win. We just couldn't bring it home.
Yeah, man. But I mean, fantastic job overall, though. You were able to have some fast laps. You were competing up front, and you were there at the finish where it was needed. Just if it was 124 laps, you would have had it.
Yeah, you're right.
But it sucks. I mean, you feel like you're fighting, and you get there, and just come up one lap short is very disappointing. I know I've been there. I know Josh has been there, and it's not the best. And then the guy that beats you is the guy that's in the points lead, so that makes it even worse. But I mean, overall, it was a great points night. Even though you got second, you're able to stay right there in the hunt with them, and you got just 2 more races to go.
One more.
Yeah,
One
more.
One more. I said.
We'll see how it goes.
So the major advantage that you are going to have going next week into IRP is you've been here for every race. Dante hasn't.
Dante's also not going to get around me.
All right. I kind of figured that next week there will be no gloves throughout the entirety of the race.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to run everybody respectfully tonight. I know the 00 and myself, we got into it a little bit, but he's also not really in the points lead or the points fight. So, yeah, I'm not trying to make any amends for that. But, you know, I don't know. I just, I was kind of expecting it, and sure enough, it happened. I mean, it wasn't even an attempt at a clean pass. He just threw it in enough to door me and move me up the track. So, well, I've always run respectfully with Dante, so I'm a little disappointed by it. But he's got to come from the back next week, and that means he's got to get around me at some point, and that's not going to happen.
IRP is notorious for not being a passing track, so possibly the best one for that to be the case, even though I will say that pretty much some of the worst wrecks I've ever had have been there.
Oh yeah, no, it's kind of like this where you're gonna have to get a run underneath somebody and do what you got to do, or spend a little time doing it. You can't just get a run and throw it in and hug the bottom and come out, on the other side of the corner, a position ahead. You kind of got to work for them at IRP. So we're definitely gonna make them work for it.
I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think at this point I'm looking forward to this season being done. We've talked about 17 race season is just kind of grueling. You can tell by the car count here at the end of the season that I think we need to consider shortening these seasons up a little bit. The last season was the same way. At the end of the season, we just everybody kind of wanted to go at each other. So I'm not really that upset with anybody. I just wish that I would have been run with a little bit more respect there at the end, but that's all right. That can go both ways.
You're setting it up, sir, to where next week's going to be nice and spicy.
I'm not setting anything up. I think the 03 set it up.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that, especially when you're talking points hunts, you'd never forget. Is the best way I can put it. And
Nope.
There's been quite a few times that I have been in the exact situation that you are, and Adam can prove to where I actually ended up getting the nickname of Mark Martin for a little while. And it was a lot of similar situations that made it to where I was coming in second to what you're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and he's clearly the fastest guy out here. I mean, he's missed a race and he's still the points leader, so it's really not a question at this point of who's the best driver in the league. I think everybody knows that. So that's where I don't understand why that had to happen like that tonight. Everybody knows what's happening, so everybody knows what's going on. We all know the 03's, usually the star of the show every week. So for him to have to feel like he needed to win one like that was just maybe not a decision that I was expecting or I would have done myself. But now, given the circumstances, we got to do what we got to do next week.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good for us to be on the outside and watch, and I'm looking forward to a little bit of sparks flying.
We'll see how it goes.
All right. Still, it was a good night for the points, and we'll have to wait and see what the points differential is for next week, and keep an eye on how things shake out. So have yourself a good evening, sir.
You too.
All right, and onward to our third place finisher, and someone we haven't really got to chat with. Jared, I just got to know, you were the earliest of the pit stops amongst that front four, and yet there you were fighting at the end.
Yeah, I was a little surprised there. It was our only shot. We got turned there by the 23 and kind of put us in a box, but we were able to get back up there, and the 03 and I think it was the 89, they started pulling away, and then they came back to us, which kind of surprised me, and we took the lead, and then me and the 11 had a really good battle there for, I don't even know how many laps, but it kind of burnt the right front up there. It kind of faded the last couple of laps.
Yeah.
I got you, man. Like you said, you had a fan race. I mean, you're battling both. The second, everybody there. Talk Dante and Dustin, they were having to save some fuel, which then allowed you guys just to really catch them pretty quickly, and then have a fantastic battle there at the end.
Yeah, I didn't know if they miscounted or miscalculated the fuel or what, but that really surprised me. I thought when they started pulling away, I'm like, "Wow, crap, we're gonna finish third, probably fourth there with the 11 catching us." But it worked out in our advantage. Like I said, if they went ahead to say, we would have been probably fourth place finish. So worked out, and I mean, like you said, it put on a really good show there. The last 25, 30, 40 laps, however many laps it was that we were side by side and in a battle there. It just you don't want to give up the lead, especially in the last 25 laps. And me and the 11 race really, really hard. And like I said, the little bit older tires, it kind of hurt the right front just enough to where it faded and couldn't run side by side. Once I got back in line, I felt pretty good and started running them back down. I ran out of laps. But, nonetheless, it was still a really, really fun race.
No, it was one of those things that we saw you strong at the very beginning. It seemed like you were at home, not even able to run the entirety of the track. And then suddenly, there you are once again, ready to battle for the lead.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I felt really good early on, especially even on the bottom. I felt like I was really running it up, and the first pit stop to the right front was gone. But I felt like we were maintaining pretty good pace with everybody else. And then, like I said, 23 got into us there in 1 and 2, and I thought I was going around. I just held it to the floor and turned right because I didn't want to wreck the whole field. But it worked out, and I was surprised we were able to kind of start running them back down. And at that point, my only strategy call was to run it out on fuel, and then short pit it there like we did. And I mean, it worked out. And like I said, I'm not going to complain with the third place finish against these guys.
No, it was a great run. And next week we head off to IRP, which, yeah, it I have a love-hate relationship with that track.
I have more of a hate, but it's cool. That's why I'm up here in the booth.
Iowa and IRP next week are probably one of my top 2 favorite tracks. I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad the schedule allowed me to have an open week to where I'd come run with these guys because, these guys, they put on a hell of a show. I mean, 125 laps and to race as hard as we did. Like I said, the last however many laps and not have a yellow, it's a testament to these guys. And like I said, I'm happy to finish third to them guys, and looking forward to next week.
Definitely part of why we didn't have cautions was iRacing.
Well, yeah, we probably should have had at least one.
Yeah, there was definitely one out there, but still, even with the battle that you were having with Bryan Hacker towards the tail end there, a few sparks flew, but everyone kept it relatively respectful, and yeah, no one got turned after you did, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, and I mean, even that was just a racing deal. I mean, when you're basically pack racing at a 1 mile racetrack, you're gonna have that. So, yeah, it all worked out, and yeah, it was to race that kind of style of racing. It was pretty clean. Usually, 9 out of 10 times we have at least one big one, whether it's racing these guys or anywhere else. Usually, there's a big one. So, to not do that, not have that, is pretty cool.
No, it was a great run from you tonight. Glad to get you up in the booth, and we'll look to see what IRP has in store for you next week.
Yeah, sounds good. I just got to thank all the fans for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for doing the broadcast, and Justin and everybody for putting on this league. Like I said, these guys are always a blast to come race with, clean and respectful. So on the next week.
All right. Take care, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. That is gonna do it for us tonight on Ghostfire Media. Make sure and catch Nick and Randy tomorrow night and Wednesday night.
Nope, just tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sim 500's done for the season. So yes, check them out tomorrow for the Tuesday night Racing League. Just beautifully named. But also make sure to check out RC2 promotions for the Street Stock Showdown. And alliteration does not do me well this late into the evening. But check them out, and we will see you next week for the finale of Season 6 for the North-South Racing League.
Thank you for watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.